All right. Welcome, everybody, to a special live episode today. This was kind of a very quickly thrown together idea, but I do think it's going to be a lot of fun. So basically, the schedule worked out perfectly this week in that I was able to get my golf content recorded on Sunday night. There was no real college basketball slate to be found Monday night. And DraftKings did us a solid and got out the salaries for the Tuesday slate nice and in advance. So we are here live on a Monday night, and we are going to break down the Tuesday, January 13th slate of College Basketball DFS. Now, if you joined us for college football season, you will recognize the man on my right. His name is Zach Green, aka Big Country DFS. Zach, I know a lot of people watching this probably know you from college football, but I know you're hyped to be here and talk about some college basketball now as well.
Yeah, honestly, what people may not know is I actually like college basketball more than I do college football as far as fantasy wise. I mean, obviously, still love watching football, but I feel like the edge is still there in college basketball. There's just so few places giving out content, and like really, there's basically maybe two that actually do projections. Whereas with college football, you still have 4 or 5 sites doing that. And so it's just fun. And most of my takedowns that I've had have definitely come from college, but basketball, and especially March Madness, I just love it.
Yeah, that's the best time of the year, right? When you get the bracket and it's 68 teams, and there's a definite edge to being a ball knower once you get to those slates when you're dealing with some of the mid-majors, some of the Cinderellas, how to play those games, how to know what players to target, right? So definitely looking forward to that. But before we can get to March Madness, we got to get through January, right? So this episode tonight, we are going to look to be a little bit different if you're used to my normal college basketball content. If you were used to my normal shows, I normally go game by game, kind of break down all the players, go like super detailed, super in the weeds. That's not what we're going to do here tonight. We're not going to go game by game. I want to make it have a different feel than my normal content. And I also want to make it different just in general, because I know there's another really good college basketball DFS live stream. They generally go a little bit later at night and they go game by game. They might be having a live show tonight as well. So, I definitely want to provide a little bit different flavor, a little bit different insight. And I do want to, make sure that this show has a good feel, and you guys in the chat do get what you need in order to have some information to be ready to take down the slate tomorrow night. Let's see who we got in the chat so far. I see we got our guy Jason B in the chat. Welcome, Jason. Glad to have you here. We got Bobby Payne says, "What's up, fellas? Huge slate tomorrow. Let's get it." Yes, I'm actually a pretty big fan of how they set up the 2 slates tomorrow. I think that the timing of the games, and I think that the games they picked, I think DraftKings actually did a really solid job with the slates tomorrow. And then Darren says, "Is it wrong of me to be mad at Navy because the players sank my battleship tonight?" Dude, me and Zach were just talking about that before we started tonight. Like, I don't understand why DraftKings offered us a showdown slate of a Navy and American game when there's other teams on that we're playing tonight that they've done DraftKings pricing for before. If you're going to give us a crappy slate, at least give us a crappy 2 or 3 game slate. Don't make it just showdown. So yeah, just not a fun college basketball game, not a fun night to play college basketball DFS. But tomorrow night is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm about to go ahead and throw Zach's sheet up on the screen. Zach, you want to tell the people where they can find the sheet they're about to see?
Yeah, so at Big Country DFS on Twitter, and the Big Country DFS Discord, which you can find the link to on Twitter, and the Fantasy Corner Discord as well. Try to chat in both of those and visit about it. And one thing I want to point out on the sheet, obviously we try to get it. Normally we don't get it done this early, obviously because of news and everything else. And so it's going to be, you want to look at it tomorrow when we get closer, as we have news come in, for any changes, and as we get projections and stuff that we look at, some of these might be minor tweaks and stuff. And then definitely you want to check to see if anything in the core changed at all.
So Zach, should we go ahead and start there then and talk about some injuries and some potential guys that we need to monitor heading into tomorrow? I think that'd be a really good place to start.
Yeah, so if you look at Sean Jones there, right,
Hmm.
On the sheet, I've labeled everybody with bold and italics if they're questionable. We did get some news. Michael Brown is going to be out again, but
Hmm.
Conwell, who missed last game, is projected to be probable.
Yes.
So that's some good news there. Dayton has had Lee Tang and Thomas. They've been out for 3 games. And the coach said as of January 6th, they still haven't even started practicing. So I'm imagining they're probably going to be out again.
Yeah, so I can kind of speak from the perspective of like as much of an expert on Dayton basketball as you will find because where my dad graduated, I watch every game I can, but because he is a big supporter and we do make it up to Dayton for a game every year, which is a blast. That arena there is something that's really cool. If you're a big time college basketball fan, just little self promotion for Dayton there. But yeah, Latong and Thomas are their 2 centers, and neither of them has played since December 20th. And Anthony Grant and Dayton are super tight-lipped about injury news. You're not going to know until warm-ups whether or not the 2 of them are playing. I don't think that Dayton is the type of program that they would have a guy go through warm-ups and then sit him. That's generally not something they've done. But you're not going to hear anything about the 2 of them until warm-ups. They're not going to be described as anything other than day-to-day or week-to-week, which is really annoying. So really what you're going to see is if the 2 of them do miss, Juwan Simon is like almost a lock button play at 4,000 on DraftKings to me. The last 3 games have been the one where they've been missing the centers, and Simon has basically functioned as the center, and he's seen a huge boost in minutes. He's put up 19, 11, and 29 DraftKings points at a salary of $4,000. Like, that's really, really good. He has upside to be a slate breaker if those 2 centers are out. And also, I do think in general, all the guys that grab rebounds for Dayton, I think they generally get a boost as well. Like, there will be some minutes where Jordan Durkak, who is basically a point guard, there will be minutes where he's basically the 5, and you could get a game like the Fordham game where he went 15 and 14 just because he's a little bit of a bigger guard, and there's times where he's going to be asked to do a little bit more on the rebounding end. Same deal with Keontae Jones at 7,000. So I do think that if the 2 Dayton centers are out, that does increase the viability of the 2 Dayton guys. And then on the other side, Zach, have you watched John Hughley play basketball before?
It's been a while. I did whenever he was at OU.
So yeah, he's been everywhere, man. Like he Pitt, Xavier, Oklahoma, and I swear he's put on 20 pounds everywhere he's gone.
He hasn't played for 3 straight games, and it's been coach's decision.
Yes, so I think there's been a little bit of falling out there. And so if Hughley is out, which I would expect him to be, David Dixon's going to start at center for Duquesne. And going up against no centers for Dayton could be a little bit of an opportunity for David Dixon to have a pretty good game. He put up 30 DraftKings points last time out at Davidson. So I do think that the Dayton Duquesne game is going to be the one that you're going to want to monitor for all the injury news, which is kind of crazy, right? Like this game in the A10 that really isn't going to get a huge national spotlight, but is actually a really fun game between 2 pretty fun teams. That's going to be the game where you're going to really want to monitor for injury news, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, and there's just a couple more. So like Jakari White is now probable. He's missed the several games, and so that means Malik Thomas at 6,100 is just going to be out for me if White comes back. And so that's another injury spot, but he's listed as probable on the report now.
Yeah, so like it's really annoying because Jakari White was really coming into his own before he got hurt, right? Playing really well up until the injury. And then when he got hurt, Malik Thomas has started just going on an absolute tear. You've seen Sam Lewis have some decent games as well. And then Dallin Hall has really put up a ton of peripheral stats in this time period. And heading into the Louisville game, like this is going to be a big time pace up spot. This is going to be a game where Virginia's going to score a lot of points. It's kind of annoying that White is going to be back. So are you willing to roll the dice on White, or is that situation just a total X out for you?
Yeah, so I like Dallin Hall a lot for cash games just because he has such a super safe floor because of all those peripherals. He just doesn't do much on the off, like scoring wise.
No.
And so other than that random, 20 points against Maryland, that other than that, but for 5,000, you'll take the 18, 21, you'll take that. White, I can't remember. Was he starting before he got hurt? So,
let me look this up real quick.
If he was starting and he's starting again, that's the thing, because so like example last night, Desmond Claude was not practicing and was away from the team, and then they said, oh, this was Saturday, and then Sunday the game, he's warming up, and they're like, he's good to go, and then he doesn't play at all. But then on the same situation a couple games ago, Tahad Pettiford was not starting because he was in the doghouse from some fouling issues and stuff. And then he comes off the bench and lights it up. So it's one of those things where you just kind of, for cash, if White is back, it's probably just get rid of them, because they are on the road. And for cash games, and maybe something that's, people don't like, but I tend to favor in conference play the teams that are playing at home.
Yeah, I get that.
So especially for high price guys, which these guys aren't. And
so I do have keep going. I got an update though.
Okay. Like if White, returns and he's starting, that's a good price. But we've also seen with guys been out several times, several games, that their minutes aren't ramped up, or their shot, they're rusty coming out.
So White actually has not started a game this season. Every single one of his games was off the bench. So you're not really going to know if he's back into his full role, because he's probably not even going to be in the starting lineup. Now, what I will say is White has a pretty consistently high usage rate, 22% average on the season. And you can see with Malik Thomas, there's a very clear delineation of when White got hurt in terms of his minutes and his usage. So I really do think that Thomas, more than anybody, would be the one that's affected. So I think I'm probably going to be willing to roll the dice on Jakari White and GPPs. And I do think that I'm willing to roll the dice on Dallin Hall in any format.
Yeah, Dallin Hall, he's not affected as much. Malik Thomas was definitely losing minutes the more that White kept, and then unfortunately had the injury. So Austin Rapp is another one for Wisconsin.
Are they on this slate?
Yeah, they're playing Minnesota.
Yes, they are. At page 2.
And so because of that, however you say that foreigner name, Alexis Biliak.
I'm just going to refer to him as the Beast.
He had a game out of nowhere against Michigan. I'm not banking on him to repeat that. He went from shooting 3-4 times a game to shooting 12 times a game. That is something that people are going to chase just because they see that. And it was against Michigan. But also we need the news on Rap, of course. And then Jameer Jones from Providence.
Yeah.
He missed last game. And the biggest boost there is Ryan Mello, because he's actually a forward, but DraftKings lists him as a guard. And so he plays, and as you can see, the last couple of games he's been decent.
Yeah, I really liked Mila the last few years at Providence. I thought he was a pretty solid player for them, and just kind of never really has broken into like a consistent role. And he was almost like getting soft benched, like leading up until the injury for Jones. And so, yeah, if you do get news that Jones is out, I do think that Mila. I'm pretty sure it's Mila. At least I was watching the game the other day, and he got called for a technical, and they called him Mila. So I think that Mila is a pretty solid look if Jones is out.
We apologize if we mess up. There's a lot more European players in college basketball than there is in
also
football.
Too, just for me personally, I watch a lot of games with the sound off because a lot of my college basketball watching is after the kids are asleep. So there's a lot of names, like there's names that I've been getting wrong for 4 years, where like somebody in the YouTube comments will correct me, and I'm like, I didn't know, bro. Sorry. Like, Xavier has never gotten the main screen treatment for me. So, I'm
looking, and I'm pretty sure that's it for injury news. Of course,
Marcus Burton is out, but he's been out.
Yeah. So that doesn't really change.
I still like Harrelson
Keanu Roos is now on the injury report. He's dealing with the illness. He wasn't earlier. But again, that Louisville situation with forwards has been a mess all year.
I would
Other
think
than
that would
for
just mean that Hadley would have to play all 40 minutes.
yeah, I would probably if he's out, I would like Hadley.
I
I mean,
think
I like
Hadley
him
is kind of
already, but
like he's kind of like that wing rebounder that is kind of like a 3 more than anything. I think he would probably be the one that would get the biggest boost. I am not confident in betting on Keyshawn Pryor or Ali Khalifa, even though I think they've both been good players where they've been before. Their minutes are just not consistent at all.
yeah, and I don't understand that with Pryor unless the injury that he's coming off of is still, they're still trying to keep him limited because he was a beast. Um, before the injury and everything.
And Khalifa at BYU and Charlotte, he was good at both those stops, but he took a year off of basketball, and I guess he's just not really breaking into the rotation. So I don't know. If you're willing to roll the dice on the two of them in GPPs and just say like, oh, like they're good players, maybe they're going to find a way to break onto the court with roots out, maybe. But I would tend to think it would benefit Hadley.
Yeah, and Fru's been playing lights out anyways, and so
Fru's been really good.
It's probably just going to boost some there too.
Yeah. All right, so now let's go to kind of a more traditional approach, but let's get caught up in chat. I see we got Jason saying DK is lazy. Yes, absolutely. There should have been a slate tonight. I will die on that hill. And then John Hughley, I believe he was talking about here, was a beast for a game or two at Pitt. Yes, everybody has seen a John Hughley game at some point. Like he just randomly has a huge game and then disappears. I see we got our guy Huncho in the chat. Glad to have you here, Huncho. And then Darren saying he's playing Wilkerson, Edwards, Huff, and Conwell, then crossing my fingers for hot shooting nights. Well, yeah, those guys are all going to shoot the ball quite a bit. So I kind of get the vision there. Those guys are all going to be putting it up.
Well, that does give me to another point.
Okay.
I think it's a good thing to talk about with that. So that's a great strategy for GPP, but if people are playing cash like I do, I'm a heavy cash player. This is where I build my bankroll for the years. College basketball. I just wish they put more double ups. If people would join them, we could get some more double ups. But so what I want for cash games is not just shooting. You want the peripherals, the assists, the rebounds, the steals, the blocks, all of that. And so for GPP, the reason it's great is obviously, you get the 3.5 points if you get a 3-pointer and all that. But if they have a bad shooting night, like you look at Jason Edwards, for an example, just pulled him up. He had 29 and he had 21 and 50 in 3 of his last 5. So, yeah. But the other 2 was 13 and 17 because he didn't shoot well. And so that's just saying for cash, you want somebody that's going to have that consistent floor because you only have to beat the half. But just want to mention that, especially for people that may be new to college basketball in general. So just something to mention there and if you scroll down to the bottom, just so people can see.
Yes.
The nice thing about this sheet is you'll have the plays listed by us, but then you also have stats. And then at the very bottom, because my dad, the way he set it up, it'll automatically tell you their average DK score for the season and what that is point per dollar. So like Chase Ross, good cash play because he averages over 4x. Some of these other guys, like Trey Norman, averages 2.01. That's why he's listed as a risky play only.
Yeah.
And then Nigel James, I love him. He's a great player, but his price is just so up there now. It's GPP. And so that's just kind of a breakdown how the sheet works and everything. So I guess what do we want to talk about next? The totals and everything?
Yeah, let's do that. So at least it became a regular on our college football show to just kind of talk about the game environments and different kind of looks of, hey, like what game should we be not targeting here. So if you're joining us in the chat, let us know. Is there a game that you're looking to stack? Is there a game that you're looking to get a whole lot of players from for this Tuesday night slate? Because I've got one in mind, Zach, and I'm pretty confident it's going to be the popular one.
Yeah, I bet I can guess what yours is.
Well, which one you think I'm going with?
Tennessee, Louisville.
Yeah. Oh, Tennessee, A&M.
Oh yeah, Tennessee A&M. Sorry,
Yeah, like
Louisville's playing Virginia. Yeah, that's right.
it's the power of Buckyball, man. Like Texas A&M, they are just playing at such a fast pace, and they really just all their games like feature just a ton of points scored. And so I'm just going to kind of keep targeting against A&M, especially when it's a team like Tennessee that really wants to, kind of play slow. A&M is going to bring them up in terms of pace, and there's going to be plenty of opportunities for these Tennessee guys to really excel in a pace up spot. And I don't think that because of the way they're priced, I don't think that you have to fade the A&M guys because they're going up against Tennessee. I think that the way that A&M guys are priced creates a situation where you can play guys on both sides in this game and feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah. Tennessee has definitely a couple guys I'm very interested in. A&M, the thing that I hate about A&M is they play so many guys. It makes it hard to dial in for anybody for cash just because they're starting just all over the place. But it is, starting to condense a little bit. I was looking at who did I have looking at eyeballing? So like Rylan Griffin, he's finally been producing. He's only had 2 games since November 18th below 17 points, which is a solid cash floor there. And then the other one I think was Marcus Hill. He's been pretty solid recently.
So there's one that I want to talk about, but I'm going to save him for later.
Okay, it might be the other guy I'm talking about.
It might be. Is there another game that you're looking at, maybe like that's a little bit off the beaten path, or maybe some people aren't going to be getting to as much? Because I think there's one that comes to mind for me that I think is stackable, but isn't going to be all that popular.
So I actually like the Dayton Duquesne game just because, we talked about Simon and Connor cheap. Another guy cheap is Jimmy Williams for Duquesne. And then, of course, you can look at Dixon, like you mentioned, and then all of those Dayton guards, Montgomery, Bennett, Jones, Drukak, they've all been great. Because the Louisville-Virginia game, on paper it looks great. But with that news now that Conwell's back playing and then White's back playing, that kind of muddies it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And not to mention, because Brown's been out so many games and now Conwell missed a game, we got Hadley and Woolley and McNeely are all priced up.
Now they're all priced up. Yeah.
And so it's just kind of like, originally I had Hadley in my first cash build, but that was before when I was expecting both Brown and Conwell to be back. But now I'm like, I don't feel like I need a Louisville guy.
Right.
And Virginia, like there is one guy in Virginia that I want to kind of talk about a little bit because he had been doing well. And then all of a sudden, the last 2 games, he's just kind of went MIA. But because of that, his price is so cheap, and that's Devin Tillis at 34. Because he was 10-plus in 5 straight games, and he was getting minutes, 22, 39, 24 minutes. And then all of a sudden, against Cal, he only got 16 minutes, didn't do anything. And then against Stanford, he did have some foul trouble in the first half. And then I guess because of blowout, they just were like, well, we don't need to bring him back. He only played 13 minutes.
It appears that they've played Onyenso more minutes recently.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just maybe is it just a size thing that they want to have some more size out there, or because Tillis is smaller. He's 6'7". So I have to look into that a little more. And kind of see because Onyenso is big, and so I just wanted to mention that. And then let's see, the St. John's game, that'd be a game that I would stack, but again, Marquette has been awful.
Yeah, Marquette, they've been bad.
They were supposed to be good this year, and they've just been straight garbage. And then you had the whole thing with Zadie Lowry getting kicked off the team.
Yeah, and that's a mess.
So on Marquette, I'm most likely only interested in Ross, just because Nigel James is priced up. I like him as a player, but he's coming off 31-point game, real points, and so I don't think he's going to do that against St. John's. And then their forwards have been a mess. The other guards have been a mess. Sean Jones, I thought coming back from the injury, he was cheap. He'd been getting assists, but then he goes and gets hurt again. So, and now he hasn't played since December 30th. So, what can you expect from that? So, on a 10-game slate, we've talked about this with college football. You kind of want to X out some teams to kind of help limit your player pool. And so if you do that, get rid of Marquette. Don't have to worry about it. Then those last two games, UConn and Houston, I'm not saying fade them completely, but because the game environment, especially, all three of them are all four teams are 229th or worse in pace. Three of them are 300 or worse in pace, but all four are top 10 in points allowed on the season. So that just screams you don't want to have a heavy exposure. Now there's guys
I'm like completely off of those two games. It's going to be one of those nights where, with it being the last two games of this slate, it's going to be one of those nights where my lineups get up near the top and I'm going to be hanging on for dear life, praying that there's no scoring in those games. I can just see it coming.
Yeah. So I do like Kingston Flemings with the price drop, and West Virginia.
Love Flemings' game. I just don't like the game environment.
Yeah, I get the game environment, but he's coming off a kind of a stinker game, and West Virginia, the one area that you can beat them is 3-pointers. And then I think a sneaky play for Seton Hall is I don't know if I'm saying this right, Najai Hines. He had the injury. He's coming back. With his size, I think they'll need his size against Reed and Caravan.
Yeah.
And so just because of that fact, otherwise, Seton Hall, I'm completely out on the rest of those guys. Just Hines. UConn, I only really like Braylon Mullins just because he's super talented freshman.
That's your guy.
Yeah. And then Sanak is the other guy for Houston that I like.
Yeah. I see the argument. I think I'm probably just gonna literally X those two games out of my player pool. Like you gotta make some stands somewhere, and I think that's somewhere I'm gonna make them. It's just like, hey, like I'm just not gonna get involved with this. There's better places to get involved. And Darren, I see we got put some respect on Ross Hodge's name and pace of play. Yeah, I know you're used to slow-paced basketball games, Darren, and Ross Hodge is not bringing the pace. Okay, so. As much as I think he's doing a good job with this roster that he's got right now, not one I'm eager to target in DFS.
Another game that I'm not super high on is Indiana, Michigan State.
Agreed.
And I know Wilkerson's been playing great, and I played him last game. But 4 of the last 5 games for Indiana have been at home. And the one road game was Maryland. Terrible. One of the Maryland and Rutgers, 2 of the worst teams in the Big Ten.
Maryland's really bad.
Their other road game against Kentucky, he was absolutely terrible. He got shut down. And I think with Fears playing defense on him, that's going to limit him a little bit. And then also on the other side with Michigan State, Kohler is way up there in price. And then Fears, 7,800. He just hasn't been producing. He's only had 1 game over 30 in the last since December 6th. So,
yeah, I think the Michigan State bigs are probably going to be the only angle I take in that game. I think that it's a pretty good spot for Kohler and Cooper. Probably not playing them both together in the same lineup, but I do think the Indiana's bigs are not great defensively, and I think that's an advantage they can exploit right there.
And Tucker DeVries has been fouling like crazy the last
Dude,
few
he's been
games.
bad. I'm just disappointed. Like when he was at Drake, I'm like, this guy is good. This guy can play. And then there was the whole is he injured, is he not injured controversy at West Virginia, and they missed the NCAA tournament. And now he's at Indiana. It's like maybe this guy was just a Missouri Valley merchant, man. Like I don't. He just hasn't looked good. He's got plenty of time to turn around, but he hasn't looked good.
Okay, and then one more that I want to mention is Wisconsin, Minnesota. So some people might be wanting to just avoid it based on the total alone. But the reason I'm going to give you for not doing that is Minnesota right now has been battling injuries big time. So they literally have 7 guys. That's all they play.
Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't matter what the total is whenever you're only playing 7 guys. Like, okay, granted, it went to overtime, but every starter played over 30 minutes. 2 of them played.
And one of them fouled out.
Yeah, 2 of them played 45 minutes, meaning they did not come off the court. So you cannot score if you're not on the court. And so,
Right.
and yeah, Ian's comment with Gophers type, which one is the one should I be jamming in? So I really like Tyson if you can afford him.
I like Tyson too.
And then Isaac Asuma, he's been playing really great.
Almost had a triple-double one game.
Yeah, especially for cash games. And he's the one that fouled out. It limited his upside last game, but he still played 33 minutes. Given the fact he had 5 fouls, that's insane.
It's less than a season average.
That tells you that they don't come off the court. And then the other 2 guys that they use off the bench are Grayson Grove and Kai Shinholster. And they don't really do a whole lot, but Shinholster could get hot. 3,300 dart just to hope he comes in and pops a couple threes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, other than Villanova, that's another game. Just seeing that high total that people might be all over. But the prices, again, you got to look at the prices too, because Caden Lewis and Duke Brennan have been the 2 studs for them, but they're also priced where they should be.
Yeah, they're appropriately priced.
8,000. And so when you have the high total and you have guys mispriced, kind of like Tennessee and Texas A&M, that's where you want to target.
Right.
So I think that's pretty much it for talking about the games, unless there was anything else you wanted to mention there.
I think you got it. I really do. There's
Miami's another one that I'm like, I could do without. Notre Dame plays slow as molasses.
Notre Dame really does look to slow the game down. And I'm surprised it's only a spread of 2.5 points in favor of Miami. I kind of think Miami wins that game big.
Because I think otherwise we mentioned all those games.
Yeah. All right, so now let's switch gears a little bit. We're going to go position by position, kind of like how we do on the football shows in a way. Except we're going to go kind of top down though, like thinking about the price tags, looking top down, right? And if there's somebody in the chat that you like, I see we got Ian, Lovin, Nolan, Winter. If there's somebody that you like or somebody that you want us to talk about, get thoughts on, let us know. Well, we're going to go position by position, talk about the guards from the top down, and then we'll do forwards from the top down, and we'll kind of see where we're at the end, right? So I got to be honest with you, Zach. I'm looking like on DraftKings. I'm sorting by price at the guard spot tomorrow. And I see a lot of guys in bad spots, right? Just a lot of guys that it's like, ugh, he's at that price in that game, pass. Like Lamar Wilkerson, we already talked about. Trey Donaldson against Notre Dame, been playing outstanding. Notre Dame's going to turn that game into a rock fight. Cade Tyson, I get. Nigel James, too expensive. Deshane Montgomery, too expensive. Nick Boyd, too expensive. Caden Lewis, too expensive. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, because he's the only guy that I feel like isn't in a tough spot among the high-priced guards, is Jacoby Gillespie just going to be this mega chalk tomorrow?
I mean, honestly, I don't see how he's not. So when I was doing this core earlier, obviously people saw he's in my core. He literally has only been below 20 DraftKings points one time the entire season, and it was the first game where obviously they didn't push the starters. Last game against Florida on the road, he shot terrible, 3 for 10, and he still had 26.5. That's just a great floor. But you know with Gillespie, like the game before that against Texas, he dropped 54. He's got the upside because, like we talked about, he's a high volume shooter, averaging 18 points a game, but he also gets those assists. He averages 5.5 a game, and he also averages a couple steals a game and a couple rebounds. And like you mentioned, you're looking at it on the guards. I don't really care for Wilkerson, Donaldson, Conwell, Tyson. I get Nigel James. I don't really care for. And so from 8,500 to the top, that's the only guy that stands out like a sore thumb. So I imagine he's going to be chalk, but as we mentioned before, you don't want to fade chalk just to fade chalk. You got to think about it, and does it make sense? And I don't think it makes sense to fade him because
no, especially when you consider that it's a major pace up, right? Because he's getting rebounds and assists. He's not just a scorer. And with him getting rebounds and assists, in a game that's pace up, in a game where there's going to be more possessions, there's going to be more opportunities for rebounds and assists. Like, it just all points to Gillespie being a good play. Now, I never full lock button anyone in college basketball, right? Because college basketball, if you've never played it before, you can watch a game and have your guy pick up a second foul 4 minutes into the game, and then he's basically done. Because in college basketball, the coaches, for some reason, don't understand that optimizing minutes played means you can't play minutes when you're on the bench. So I never fully lock button anybody in college basketball, but Jacoby Gillespie is going to be like my highest exposure. Like he's going to reach the limit tomorrow because he's just shaping up as such a good play. And to answer Ian's question, yeah, I think that if you're looking at this Tennessee side, Gillespie has a usage rate of 26% on the season. Amos is around 29. So they're both really solid plays, right? And I think if you were to fade either of them, I think you would probably want to play one of the cheaper Tennessee guards. Like Amari Evans has been coming on lately. Bishop Boswell has had a few moments. Like, I think that would be what you would want to do if you're fading Gillespie and Ament, is to play those other Tennessee guards or the other Tennessee bigs, because Tennessee's going to be scoring points. A&M is probably not going to hold them to under 75. So I think that you really want to make sure you get exposure to that Tennessee side.
So, yeah, the thing I will mention with the Mint, I think people are going to like him, especially that he's 7,000. I think people are still blinded by his early season success against, Minnesota School of the Blind and Deaf State, because he really hasn't been that great against good teams. So I just went up and I did it real quick. Florida, Texas, Arkansas, Louisville, Illinois, Syracuse, Kansas, and Houston, arguably the top 7 teams they played this year. Do you know what his DraftKings average is?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to guess around like 26 DraftKings points a game.
A little bit less, 24.9.
Oh, what a bad guess.
Is not what you want. That's only 3.5x. That's not what you want for cash. It's definitely not what you want for GPP when you're paying that price.
I think the counterpoint to that would be, though, is where would you rank A&M amongst those teams? Because I kind of don't think A&M is better than any of those teams you named.
Yeah, let's take a look here.
And if you say A&M is better than Texas, me and you were going to fight.
Well, okay, so I'm just looking at Ken Palm, and because they have the breakdown in conference play. So on the season, his shot percentage was 27%. In conference play, it's dipped to 22%. So it has been a dip in conference play. And against the Tier A and Tier B teams, his rating has been down a little bit too. So let me see where they actually have A&M ranked on here.
So that begs the question then, if Ament's shot rate is going down in conference play, whose shot rate is going up in conference play?
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at that here in a second. So A&M is actually ranked 41 on Ken Palm, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which is right around Texas, I would assume. Yes. Texas is around 40.
Texas 46. So, yeah.
Hey, Ken Palm hates my Longhorns. We just beat Alabama.
But Arkansas and Florida, 12 and 30, he was held under 26 both times. I just haven't seen the upside since November 26th against Kansas. That's all I'm saying. So
with that, then, is that just making Gillespie a stronger play for you?
Yeah, I honestly, you don't do it a lot, but I do. I will go 100% on the guy, and he's probably going to be the one I do. If I don't, I can tell you right now I'm going to have Amari Evans 100%. If I don't have Gillespie, I'm going to have Amari Evans in my lineup. Or I could even see playing them both.
I could certainly see 2 Tennessee guys getting there.
And another thing with a Mint, we also have, they just kind of have more of a rotation now with all the forwards healthy. And we haven't had an Akpara blow-up game yet.
No. A guy that can pick up rebounds and blocks in a pace-up spot, I kind of like that. So heading further down the board, is there any other, while we're here, is there any other high-priced guard you want to talk about? Because there's two kind of in the mid-range that have some interest for me.
Let me see. High-priced guards. So we're talking about anything over 8 or?
We'll say 7,500 and above.
Okay, the other guy we already mentioned a little bit is just Kingston Flemings. I just love his game. And because, again, he's like Lepsy, he's scoring, he's a high-volume shooter, and he's also averaging over 5 assists a game, and he's averaging 2 steals a game. In West Virginia, they do play slow. Houston does play slow, but West Virginia hasn't been that great this year. And so this could be a good spot for him. You know, he had the down game against Baylor, had some foul trouble to get back in his groove.
You know, I'm looking at the game log here for Flemings, and I think I might talk myself into it.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing great, and this price.
He plays 35 to 38 minutes in every game that matters, as long as he can stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah, and obviously, like we mentioned, last game was on the road. These freshmen, especially on the road in these early conference games, struggle with fouls a little bit. But Flemings has a 25% usage rate and 24% of the shots when he's on the field, on the court. But he also has 33% assist rate. You know, everybody thinks of Uzan as the guy with the assists, but it's actually been Flemings this year.
Yeah. I think I might talk myself into Flemings. Well, because the other thing is, too, you could say the game environment's terrible. He's put up 42 DraftKings points against Cincinnati in a game that had 127 points scored. So he can get there in a bad game environment. So I do like Flemings.
Yeah, that's the only other guy that I'm really interested in. Even going down, looking like maybe Ross, 72.
I was going to say, I got 2 in the mid-range, and it's Chase Ross, just because I don't really think there's a whole lot of thought going into it. I think it's Chase Ross, a guy that we know is a good basketball player at 7,200 when he's still getting a lot of usage, playing a ton of minutes. I don't think that there's a whole lot of thought to go in there. And then the other guy in the mid-range I'm interested in, maybe I'm a little crazy for this. I'm still going to play Jalen Harrelson for Notre Dame. The usage is there. Like, he is getting a ton of shots. He is getting a ton of looks. He's getting a ton of opportunities. And with this being a home game, I just think that there's a pretty good shot for him to show up well. Like he has not been under a 28% usage rate since Marcus Burton got hurt. And he's had 4 games over 40% usage since Marcus Burton got hurt. So I think if you're just following usage, Harrelson will be the guy you could just blindly play.
Yeah, and to go with that, you know, last game, randomly, he didn't have any peripherals. Like, before that, he was getting 3-4 assists a game, 3-4 rebounds a game, if not more. And he still put up 18.5, which is a solid – like, his floor is still there. That Notre Dame-Stanford game that had 87 total points,
yeah,
he still had 14, which at the 7,700 that he was, that sucked. But at 6,300, that's not going to suck as much.
He had 8 turnovers in that game.
Yeah.
49% usage rate. It was largely because he turned the ball over 8 times. So if we go below 6K, we got some guys in the chat. I see we got our guy Cam here. What is up, Cam? Jason and Cam are with me on Team Pop Isaacs. I am a believer in Pop Isaacs. I've been a believer in Pop ever since he's been at Texas Tech. I just think he's good, and he's a high-usage player when he's out there. A&M has finally started to play him more minutes. With Mackenzie Mbako's season-ending injury, they've had to really condense the rotation a little bit, and they've kind of used Pop more at like the 2 and the 3, and it's kind of worked. He's been pretty successful. So Pop Isaacs definitely early looking at it is one of my favorite value plays under 6K. Are you with us on Team Pop, Zach?
Yeah, of the A&M guards, he's probably my favorite. I think he's the safest of them for the cash games, just because he's been putting up 20+ every time.
In 5 straight, yep.
Yeah, and so it's just been so much of a roulette But with Isaacs, we know his talent, and he's been playing well, and so he's my favorite of the A&M guards. But if you want to get different for GPP, like nobody's going to play Rylan Griffin probably at
No.
5,200. He's
I
100
just
bucks less.
I so struggle to play him, even dating back to his Alabama days. Like, he's kind of a corner sitter. Like, he's not a guy that they're running plays for. He's not a guy who's going to be on the ball a whole lot. He kind of just stands in a corner, and if he hits his threes and he gets you some rebounds and assists because he's out there a long time, he's going to be a pretty good play. But he just, I don't know. I'd rather have guys that are just consistently involved in the offense on a possession-by-possession basis.
Yeah, what game did Ibaka, what was his last game?
Mbako's last game. Hold on. Let me look up. Handy Ken Palm here. Shout out Ken Palm. Mbako's last game was East Texas A&M, 12-21.
Okay, so just to reiterate what you talked about, since that game for Pop Isaacs, 22%, 21%, 29%, 31% usage rate. So for 5,300, that's just amazing.
That's what you want at that salary. Like, just no notes, believer in the talent.
Yeah,
I love it.
And his offensive rating has been 119 or better in all those games.
He's been good. Now, the other guy I will shout out. So, like, this is a team I've been monitoring all season long. St. John's. I've been monitoring their usage of the point guard position because for whatever reason, Patino decided, we don't need a point guard in the portal. We're going to be fine with all these other guys. And I don't really know how that's working out for him. So the one guy they've kind of started to settle on in a little bit of a point guard role has been Isaiah Sellers. And he had a huge game last time out, put up 34 DraftKings points against Creighton, 16, 6, and 5 on a 19% usage rate. I kind of think there might be something there. It could also just be nothing because this team has just been just so weird. But I think there could be something there, and I'm willing to chase it.
Yeah, I've always liked Sellers the most of any of the guards that they have because Ian Jackson has been mostly a shooter at the times, and so when he doesn't shoot well, obviously he doesn't put up. And then Sanyon has basically, it's so random. Like every game, one guy basically doesn't get any playing time. And last game, that was Sanyon.
Yeah, so Cam pointed out in the chat, basically they replaced Sanyon with, Lefteros Leotopoulos. I think I got that right. Whatever that is. It sounds like the manager at my local Greek restaurant. He played 27 minutes last game. Sanyon played 29 minutes. Put up 17, 4, and 2. I mean, is it worth chasing that, especially considering that this game could end up being a little bit of a blowout anyway?
Yeah, I think you could. I'm not too high on him just because with me, I don't, and it's just a personal thing. I don't play the blowout narratives as much as other people do in GPPs because it's any given day. We don't know what's going to happen. And, Marquette could play lights out and then he doesn't play at all because these last two games have been blowouts.
And never forget to college basketball, the land of randomness. We had people in the Discord Saturday morning asking if the Michigan guys were going to get full run because they were going to blow out Wisconsin. And it was a 19-point spread. Who could blame them? And Wisconsin won by 3. So you just never really know what's going to happen when you play the blowout narrative. So like you said, I kind of would rather bet on the guy like actually being talented. But Lefteris Leotopoulos, he's had 2 straight good games. So maybe there's something there. Maybe.
Yeah, and it's just
I'm hungry for a Euro now.
So going back to that thing with Michigan, some people like to fade studs because of possible blowout. But the reason I say don't do that is, number one, if it does blow out, how did it get to that point? Most likely because of those studs. Like if Ademara went for 15 and 10 and Yaxel had 5, Mara had 5 blocks and Yaxel had 5 assists, and so it's one of those things. I get it for GPP, but I would just rather play the guys that I know are going to be guaranteed the minutes no matter what, no matter the game situation, anything like that.
So we've talked about the A&M guys. We've talked about the St. John's guys. Is there any other value guard you have any interest in talking in? I think I got one, but we've also already mentioned him.
There's one that I like, and he's, it's kind of that sweet spot. Third, I like a guy, third, fourth game back coming off an injury, right? And it's Divine Ugachukwu. I guess
nailed
I'm
it.
saying that right. And,
I think you
did. He was the starter before he got hurt. He's been back in the starting lineup, 17 and 23 minutes, but his shot's not falling. 2 for 7 shooting, but he still put up 11 and 9.5 at only 3,800. That shot is eventually going to fall. And we remember, go back to that game against Penn State on December 13th. I remember specifically in the Discord, someone was like, he's just cardio. And then he comes out and he nails 5 threes.
Yeah.
He shoots 80%. And so I always like those type of guys for cash, because the reason it is like right now, if I plug him in and I plug in Pop in, then I can get 3 guys over 7,500 in my lineup and still feel very confident in, because I've always liked to use this analogy. So you look at Gillespie's 8,800, Divine is 3,800. So combined 12.6. So for cash, you want 4x. So they need to get 50 combined. You can get 50 from Gillespie himself. So what Divine does is just bonus, right? So that's how I look at it. If I think Gillespie's getting 40, well, I only need 10 points from him. And so it's one of those that you're not playing wanting 30 plus, right? That's the thing that I think sometimes people forget about values, is they want everybody to have 25 plus. if he gets you 10 or 12 points, you're fine.
Yeah, as long as you get Gillespie right, it's going to be, you're putting yourself in a really good spot to play a guy like that. And like we've been talking about, we think we're going to get Gillespie right. So,
yeah. So real quick, let me just go through anybody else.
There's one value guard I want to talk about. We already mentioned him, though. It's Ryan Mila. Basically, if we get news that Jones is out for Providence again, I'm firing up Ryan Mila. I think he's good. He's definitely seen a boost since Jones got hurt. Reasonable price tag. I'm in.
Yeah, I do think that DraftKings priced most guys appropriately here. We don't have crazy misprices. I still think we have misprices, but we don't have, a guy that's a 7,500 player at 4,500. Like the other day with Lorient at 4,500 on Saturday. That was just a stupid price. So yeah, I mean, we already talked about Amari Evans as a good value. I'm just going through real quick. So Andrew Rode is kind of interesting because he's playing a lot of minutes. It's similar to Ugachukwu when, he gets the minutes, he starts, but he may not get you very much. And so with his price at 4,400, I'd rather just drop down 600 and get Hugo.
I don't mind the idea there. He's a big peripheral stat guy.
Okay, one that I will mention, if you like to play the blowout narrative, everybody used to look at Mercy Miller and Ramon Walker for Houston, but the guy that came out of nowhere last game was Isaiah
Harwell.
Yeah, he came out and he went and nailed 4 threes, and he had a couple blocks. And it's not the only time he's done it. In a couple other blowouts, he's put up some big games too. That is a blowout only play.
I would also attribute some of that to Fleming's foul trouble.
Yes,
Definitely think
obviously
he played more minutes when Fleming's got in foul trouble.
Fleming's had like 2 fouls in the first 3 minutes of the game. So
yes, and as somebody who played Fleming's, it was one of those just what do you do? Sometimes it's not your day.
But yeah, one other guy that we haven't talked about, Jake DeMichelle from Duquesne, because he's another guy that is real cheap and been putting up 10 plus. So
I kid you not, it's like when Duquesne made the NCAA tournament in 2024, Jake DeMichelle was still this same exact archetype. Like he starts, he plays a lot of minutes. Every now and then he puts up a decent amount of DraftKings points. And I'm pretty confident in day one of the NCAA tournament when they played BYU, I'm pretty confident he was actually a pretty good play. But it's crazy that he's still playing literally the same exact role for the same exact team 2 years later, when, everybody is so quick to transfer or, get better or worse at basketball. He's still the same. Shout out to you, DeMichelle.
Yeah, that's the only other. I mean, Jack Janicki, he's another shooter off the bench. I mean, like I said, they did a pretty decent decent job of pricing. Adrian Stevens, another guy that's been starting for Sean Jones, playing all the minutes. He just doesn't do much.
Right.
He's one of those guys, like you said, just stands in the corner, and the rest of the offense is through other guys. I think we're pretty much covered here on guards.
All right, so let's get ready to talk about the big fellas. All right, and we've had a few nominees in the chat already for forwards, which I like. Ian saying he loves Nolan Winter, Jason saying he loves Zuby, and then Dylan saying that he loves DeRitter every single slate. I'm gonna be honest, I kind of like all three of those guys. I really do. I think this is a pretty good slate to pay up at forward, and I think all three of those nominees are pretty good.
Okay, so real quick, just I did find one more forward. One more guard. Corey Floyd Jr. He's just a stat stuffer. He's 4,600, and he averages 20 points a game. He comes off the bench, but he just produces, and it's one of those cash games. Like he doesn't really have insane upside, but he's got a decent floor. So that was just one other guy to mention. But yeah, I agree with you. So DeRitter has been playing great. And then who was the other ones?
Zuby and Nolan Winter.
Yeah, Zuby's been playing great. The thing is, you're paying a premium. Like if he does not get 40 plus at that price, you're kind of screwed. That's the only thing I want to say. And he's only had over 40 twice in the last 7 games. So that's my thing on it. I know Marquette is terrible on the inside, but we also have had Dillon Mitchell. And I think it's a direct correlation. The last 2 games that Dillon Mitchell has started have been the last 2 games that Zuby's been under 35 DraftKings points. Because
so Mitchell, you're saying definitely make a stand one or the other.
Yeah, I wouldn't play both together. And I think Mitchell's just way too cheap. I think he's going to be one of the highest owned plays in cash tomorrow.
I think he's going to be pretty popular too.
Because he's been playing great since he started. And so that's my argument against Zuby. Now, I will get a GPP probably with Zuby, but
yes, I think that you mentioned Zuby's only been over 40 twice in the last 6 games or something like that, right? Well, the 2 that he was over 40 were 64 and 55.
Yeah, I mean, he has insane ceiling.
Yeah, and, against a team like Marquette, how many years have we been targeting bigs against Marquette? Like, it seems like every single year you just play your bigs against Marquette, and it works out. I remember when it was Oso that was there, he just knew he couldn't foul. So, like, when another team would play through the big, he'd just kind of give, the hands-up defense. And so you could play bigs against Marquette every game, and I kind of feel like you can just keep doing that now.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons his ceiling hasn't been there is if you look at the blocks, in the last 7 games, he's only had 1 game over 2 blocks, which is kind of weird for him because go back the 3 games before that, he had 4, 8, and 8. He almost had a triple-double with blocks. So, and this is the matchup of any to get those blocks. So I could see him
Now,
having a ceiling game here.
you want to hear an extra stat because I'm such a nerd?
Sure.
So Ken Palm has a new stat, right? Average 2-point attempt distance, which is basically measuring like, hey, when you take a 2-point shot, are you taking it at the rim? Or are you taking like mid-range shots? You taking them from further back? Marquette ranks second in average 2-point distance, meaning they are taking a lot of shots at the rim, meaning Zuby is going to have a lot of opportunities to get some blocks.
Yeah. So I think it's one of those things that you play Mitchell in cash,
mm-hmm.
and then you can fire up Zuby in GPP. I'd have to think about it tomorrow. I just hate playing two forwards on the same team in the same lineup.
I agree. I generally put a rule in my optimizer.
Yeah, I think it takes away from one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah. And then another guy over 8,000 that hasn't been mentioned yet, I think might go overlooked, is Duke Brennan.
I like that call. I like that call a lot.
Providence is another team that doesn't really have a lot of forward play. But I will say, because I'm always leery of bigs on the road in conference play because of the foul trouble, and especially high-priced bigs. And so that would be the issue, the concern I have there. Let me see how he's been doing on his fouls lately. Because Providence is top 50 in opponent fouls, meaning like, Sellers and Edwards, they like to drive the lane, and so they draw fouls. And yeah, he fouled out last game against Marquette. Marquette, a team that we just talked about, should be smacking. And that was actually a down game for him. So,
well, it was the foul trouble, though.
Yeah.
See, Duke, you got to block the shots. You don't want to foul. You just block them. Just easier said than done, obviously. But yeah, I think that's kind of the other side of the coin. Is if Marquette's getting to the rim, there's a lot of opportunities for fouls as well as a lot of opportunities for block shots. So yeah, that's a very valid point there.
Renew's always been playing great. I just, like we talked about, don't love the game environment.
I also have such PTSD from the last 7 years of playing Malik Renew. Like every time it felt like, Renew's in a great spot, 7.8 DraftKings points. And then, I can't play Renew, 37.
The one that kind of baffles me, he's been playing great, but I just don't know if it sustains, is Rashawn Aggie.
He's been so good, but I think this is such a bad spot against the Tennessee front court.
Yeah, I don't love him. Terrace Reed, so that his minutes, if like Coach Hurley had talked about, when Rebe, before Reed got hurt, he was like, we don't want Reed playing 30-plus minutes a game. We don't want him playing that much. And when Reed got hurt, it gave a huge boost for them to use Rebe and see what they had in him. And they like him enough now that it's almost a 50-50 split. It's still probably 60-40, but you're not getting the minutes at the price for Reed that justifies playing him, in my opinion.
I agree with the logic. I think that if you're a GPP player, I think you would be remiss to not have him in your player pool because he can just go absolutely nuclear. But the minutes is kind of limiting the amount of nuclear he can go.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
And with the lower game environment, if this was, Marquette, I'd be more interested. But against Seton Hall in a slow game environment, and, UConn should win pretty easily. If they get a decent lead, they like to give them some rest. Kohler, we already talked about a little bit. Carabin, I always like, but he just
can't do it.
He has to have his shot. He has to have it.
He's just too expensive. You look at where he's at, like in terms of like pricing, he should not be 8,200. He just should not be.
No, he's more 7,000.
If he was 7K flat, I'd play him, but not 8,200.
And with Braylon Mullins playing so well, it's taking away from the shooters like Carabin. So then let's see. Duke Brennan, we already talked about. Hughley.
You ready to talk about value forwards? Because I kind of think we've hit the mid-range too well.
Yeah, Winner, the only thing I'll say on Winner is, again, road, forward, worry about the fouls. Not to mention that, like 3 times this year, he was chalk as crap and he screwed me. And so I just don't love Winner. I know Ian loves Winner because he's a Minnesota boy playing back in Minnesota. Uh, but yeah, I don't. And then a mint we already talked about. Jalen Crocker Johnson owes me just because he had foul trouble last game and sucked. But yeah, because the other, like after those big names that we talked about, it's just a bunch of like, I don't really like Lorient at 6,000 maybe, but against Houston, nah, I could.
I generally do not play bigs against Houston, and I can't remember the last time I regretted not playing.
I think the only time they did well was JT Toppin and Darian Williams last year in the tournament.
Yeah,
only time.
Because in the regular season meeting, Toppin kicked old buddy in the nuts. Do you remember that?
And he got ejected and like.
Yeah, it was totally accidental. It wasn't Draymond Green, but he got ejected, and like JT Toppin had like 11 DraftKings points or something like that.
Yeah, I think I'm good with. So we're talking like below 55 or
let's
below.
Go. Yeah, let's go below 6K because like we're getting short on time here, and I do feel like we've mentioned a good amount of the mid-range forward plays, right? Like we mentioned Winter, we mentioned Ament, DeRitter, Derek Dixon or David Dixon, excuse me, and then I also think Cooper for Michigan State, Carson Cooper. I think he's got a little bit of value. So yeah, let's dive down to like 5,500 and below.
Okay. So one of the guys that we already mentioned was Sanak. He's been playing well. Last 2 games, he had a double-double against Texas Tech, which is, pretty impressive. It's topping. And he just doesn't shoot a whole lot. That's the one thing that's holding him back. But he has shot a little bit more last couple of games. So I don't mind him. Let's see. So Oswin however you say that.
Oswin.
Yeah,
we're just going to call his first name like he's Prince or Ronaldo or Madonna. You're Oswin.
So I kind of like him in GPPs just because he's coming off a bad game against Xavier. But it's not anything that I'm in love with. I already talked about Hines because I think they need his size against Reed and Rebay. And again, like with Ugachukwu, it's a 3rd game back, so he could play a little bit more. So then I think the next guy, we already mentioned him a little bit, Akpara.
Yes. Like, just he's still playing all the minutes. He's not attempting a lot of shots, but he's a shot blocker. He's a rebounder. He's in a pace-up environment. I think this is a good spot for Opar at 4,500. He plays 25 minutes. He should put up 18 DraftKings points easily, and you'll be content with that.
Yeah. Let's see. And then Simon and Connor we talked about. Simon, so the reason I like him more than Connor is in the last 3 games without those guys, he's put up 20 DraftKings points per game, which is over 5x this price. Connor just hasn't had the upside. He's had the cash floor, and because he's cheaper, I actually think he's going to be higher owned. But we'll see tomorrow when projections come out.
Speaking from experience of watching Dayton again, Simon is like the undersized power forward who can't shoot, who's being forced to play the center, so it actually makes sense. Jacob Connor is like a skinny white guy that's a point forward. And when they put him at the 5, which is what they've had to do, he is not an elite level rebounder. Like he's a little bit of a mismatch offensively, but he's not a good defensive player. He's not a good rebounder. So it definitely would be Simon for me. Again, we got to get news that the 2 centers are out, though. If either Letang or Thomas is back, really, if Thomas were back but with no Letang, that would be a smash spot for Malcolm Thomas. But if it's just if they're both out, I think this Juwan Simon will be the play. Zach, you good?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
just telling Darren, I think it was his device that is because
Yeah,
I just
Darren.
pulled it up on another thing and it was working.
Darren had me worried, and then you were sitting still on my screen. I'm like, oh God, maybe it's me.
So one guy that I've always kind of liked that doesn't really get talked about, doesn't get attention, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's because Michigan State, it's kind of like Texas A&M. Texas A&M has about like 8-10 guards that they use.
Yeah.
Michigan State's that way with forwards.
Yeah.
But Jordan Scott has actually been kind of sneaky. He's been playing, 15, 20 minutes a game, getting over 12, over 10 points a game most games. And so just another one of those solid cheap floors if you're looking for a guy and you're at that price at 4,200 that you could look at. And then Duncan Powell also, if Jameer Jones is out, he's going to get more run too, just like Mila. He had 26 minutes last game and he did well. And if you remember, I believe he was at Georgia Tech and he had some big games last year.
He was. I don't understand how he went from like a starter at Georgia Tech to like barely cracking the rotation at Providence when Providence is not great.
Yeah.
That one puzzles me a little bit.
Another cheap guy, he's kind of fallen off the last couple of games, Sam Alexis. He's been starting for cheap if you need somebody cheap. But again, I'd rather have Ugachukwu there at that price.
Yeah. Or I'd rather pay 200 more for Simon.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, Tillis. Did I talk about him on the show, or was that just with you before we were?
Tillis.
I don't know if I talked about it. He's on Virginia.
Oh, Virginia's Tillis. Yeah, I think we talked about him on the show, right?
It was either on the show or with you, but just real quick mention again.
Well, just to give us the cliff notes.
Yeah. He had been playing well, been playing a lot of minutes, getting decent score for 3,400. Then the last 2 games, he's fallen off a cliff. And I don't know if they just wanted the size of Onyenso more. Those 2 games, I think I was just mentioning I was going to look into that tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not really seeing, just going through, glancing.
So, like, it is kind of nice that it's a slate where there's value, but there's not like this super obvious, like 60% ownership value play, right? Like, it was kind of annoying on the Saturday slate that Brendan Lorient was like this super inherently obvious play that everybody was on. Just because, like you had to have him, but like, it kind of reduced your ability to separate. So I kind of like that there's no super obvious value plays. And who knows, maybe Juwan Simon will end up being that guy. Maybe people will find that out. But again, we also have to get the injury news, which, like I told you guys, it's not coming until warm-ups. So maybe that keeps people off of them. I don't know. But I do think it's nice that there's not this like insanely easy click on this slate.
Yes, and also on Saturday, there was also Abel. He was about 80% owned it.
Oh, yeah, he was also another easy click.
And then Darian Williams, because of the 2 values, you could easily fit him. And so it was just like Tanner was 35% in cash, Flemings was 30%, and they were both over 8,000. And then Mara was 80%. And it was because there was so much value to fit them in.
And Tanner was way too expensive, if we're being honest with ourselves, too.
Yeah. And then let's see. So what do we want? We talk about the core, and then maybe
let's tell you what. Let's close it out with your core 4, and we'll call it a day because we've been going a little bit longer than I thought here, but it's been good discussion. I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. Let's go ahead and close it out with the core 4.
Okay, so we've talked about this before with college football, but if you're not familiar,
yes, you do need to preface it for the people because somebody's going to go into chat. Why is it all the chalk? Why is it all high owned guys? Yeah. Why is it all guys with safety? So I'll let you explain.
Yeah, so this is for college basketball because I'm a heavy cash guy, and when I actually started doing these sheets and everything, most of the people in my Discord were cash guys as well, and so it's safe floor, but also upside where I still think it exists. High ownership because of cash. You want to have the high ownership because if you miss on an 80% guy that's 4,000 in cash, you're pretty much SOL right off the bat. And so Mitchell, with as long as he's starting again, which I love whenever we need to know if a guy's starting again because it's the first game. Because you don't have to worry about it. You can make adjustments from there. So 5,700 is too cheap. He's been producing across the board. And even in the games he was coming off the bench, he's put up enough numbers to average over 4 DraftKings points a game. And in those 2 games as a starter, he's averaging almost 1 DraftKings points a minute. And that's something you love from forward position.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jimmy Williams. So we talked about that Duquesne-Dayton game. He's only been below 27 DraftKings points 3 times this year. That's the epitome of consistency that you want for cash games, right? And it's the high total, the high pace, the rebounding edge. Dayton's bad at 3-point defense. He produces all over. He's got a 23% usage rate, 27% shot rate. Has the safe floor, but he still has the upside. Then Gillespie, we've already talked about, probably going to be one of the highest owned plays, especially for the expensive guys, and for good reason. He shoots a ton. He has a 26% usage rate. He shoots almost 30% of the shots for Tennessee. That's just insane. But also, he produces peripherals. And then we talked about, so this last guy, it's a little different than college football. College football, we didn't have this, but I call it the triple-double plus upside banger. So the orange guy doesn't always mean low-owned. Sometimes it's low-owned, but it's a guy that we think has the highest point per dollar upside. And obviously that's going to be Simon because he's only 4,000. But you do want to preface this that we still need Letang and Malcolm to be out. And we think they're going to be out. And so that's the cash core. And really for GPP, with college basketball, I like sticking with my core. So in my GPPs, I almost always use my whole core. Or the guy that I like the least is the one that I kick out. And it's only if there's a guy around his price. So like for GPP, in this example, I really love Mitchell. I really love Gillespie. I really love Simon. So the guy I might kick out is Jimmy Williams. And we're talking about similar price. We already talked about Harrelson, right? So just get him. That's the perfect area. You don't have to fade all of the chalk. You only need to make 1 or 2 differences there. And so thinking about, and then like Mitchell, if you're not using Mitchell, get Edgeio4 for 1. And then for 2, you want to look at a guy that's around 5,700 that you might like. So, something like that is Sanyon. We talked about Sanyon. And so that's just kind of ways to get different there.
Absolutely. And I applaud you for doing your work early on the core. I have not written my core plays yet. I have not finalized that yet. I'm going to be doing it the day of. I'm going to hope we can get a little bit of injury news before we can finalize it. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to get it, but
it might change. But I've almost actually noticed, like, because Sundays I have to do everything the night before because I have church and preacher also. I've noticed that when I do it early, it's almost been better than whenever I wait for all the projections and everybody's content, because it's almost like I get people in my head and then I start thinking and second guessing myself. And then I just play crap that I wasn't even looking at before. I almost did it the other night with Akpara because I knew he was going to be chalk. And then something just in my gut told me. And I really liked Obi Agbin because I thought his price was too cheap, even against Houston. And I ended up being right. He ended up getting like 24 or something like that. It was great for cash. And then Akpara was not good. So, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes over-analysis is paralysis, right? Like if there's a guy that you like, or more importantly, there's a guy that you don't like and you hear people telling you to like him, telling you to be able to play him, sometimes trust your gut, man. Like I'm sure there's people watching this right now that are like, they think Jacoby Gillespie is going to go off. And if that's your belief, then roll with it. We're both in agreement on Jacoby Gillespie, though. I will point that out.
I do have a core for the night if we want to talk about that real briefly.
Okay. Is there a way I can show it?
Yeah, I guess just pull up the slate and then I can tell you the guys you can plug in there.
Let's do that. This will be the last thing we'll do, and then we will close it out because I'm very tired.
Yeah. I'm glad we were able to do it earlier for you too, because it's 9:30 for me, but it's 10:30 for you.
100%. And it's not even that late. It's just the lifestyle that I'm living right now. Coaching 2 young kids. It's a lot. So
Okay.
So let's see how quick I can find these guys.
So first one, Cam Woods. I'm going right back. Too cheap.
Could not agree more.
He finally started. He literally played 44 minutes too. And again, his shot still was not there. He is literally 3 for 18 shooting and 0 for 8 from 3. When that shot falls, he's going to have 25 plus, right? It's just a matter of time. Guys got to get in rhythm after being out for so long. The next guy is my Oklahoma State dude, Jalen Curry, because again, it's another team that plays a huge rotation, but they play a lot. They score a lot, and so there's a lot of opportunity.
Fast. Yeah,
and he still had 15 points last game and only made 1 shot. So I tend to prefer whoever's the cheapest guy. We saw it the other night with Clary, and he went off. He almost had triple-double. The next guy is Iwachukwu from Georgetown. Again, too cheap. He's back from his injury, 20 and 26. It's just self-explanatory. He was chalked last time, and they only made us that's what I don't get about DraftKings. 26 DraftKings points. Oh, let's bump them up $100.
Just $100. Yeah.
So that's just a no-brainer. And then the last guy is Donnie Freeman. I think he's still too cheap, and I love
going back to that well.
Yeah, I love targeting Florida State.
Florida State's so bad.
Yeah. And then just one more thing to briefly mention, just Rink Mast and Peyton Sandfort are also too cheap. Getting a good matchup against Oregon.
I love me some Rink Mast.
7,500. Price is down. So it's a buy low spot.
The other thing that caught my eye on the night slate, I did very preliminary research on this slate. I do want to check the price see what DraftKings did with this guy. So DraftKings did bump up Boogie Fland a little bit after the last big game. FanDuel did not. FanDuel Boogie Fland is way too cheap, I noticed. And then the Bama-Mississippi State game, how do they have guys priced?
I thought they were pretty much fairly priced there.
Phylon, reasonable.
He's been dealing with cramping like Peterson, though.
If Jemison were cheaper, I'd love Jemison because Jemison got the start against Texas. So
yeah, I feel like they're all kind of Amari Allen's way up there now.
Yeah, but it's appropriate though. He's been balling.
Yeah, Jemison, I do like. I see Bo Bolin is questionable, so I probably like him a little bit more if Bo Bolin misses again.
Achor has been really good recently. That I think that if you're looking to stack one game on this slate, it's Bama Mississippi State.
Yeah, I wish we would do full sheets for them, but it's hard enough to do a 10-game sheet.
Yeah.
And then to put another 9-game on there, and not to mention the contests are just terrible.
Yeah,
the $1 is like 400 total prizes.
It's really interesting that DraftKings has gone to this. They really went to this kind of general format last year where we'll have the 7 p.m. slate and then we'll have the 9 p.m. slate and we'll make them equally sized. They didn't used to do that. It used to be one full night slate. I guess they wanted to make sure that they could get, I don't know, maybe they thought that if they did two big slates, that they could get double the rake, I guess. I don't know. But
I think part of it too is people like playing more whenever they can watch all the games.
Yeah.
And whenever you throw in the random 9:30 Central Time game at the end, people are like,
it's annoying.
I don't like that. And so with this, I do kind of like this because the main slate, it gets over by 10 o'clock Central. And so that part's kind of nice. I just hate that the contests are so bad. I almost would rather have a 12 or 14 game slate and just have a few more of the 8 p.m. and just call it a day.
Well, and the crazy thing is DraftKings can't pull the excuse we can't have a slate that big because on day one of the NCAA tournament, they're going to have a 16-game slate. So don't tell us you can't make a slate that big. Yeah, because we all know that that's the biggest one, and that is the longest sweat. By the way, is that first day of the tournament where literally, if you don't have someone in the first game, you're just like anxious, like, all right, where are my lineups at? Like, I'm sitting in the back. Or if you do stack like the first game or something, it's a whole day of watching your lineup go all the way down. So yeah, fun times.
Yeah, I think it was good for the first show for college basketball.
Yeah. So that's gonna go ahead and close us out. We don't see anything else in the chat to get caught up. Hopefully our connection, our video was working there. But yeah. I think it went well. I hope you guys watching it enjoyed it. If you want access to the sheet, go follow Zach on Twitter at Big Country DFS. Go join the Big Country DFS Discord. Go join the Fantasy Corner Discord. That is linked in the description. And then before you leave, make sure you hit that like button. Helps us out a ton, helps people find the video, helps grow the community. And also subscribe to the channel. That way you'll know when we go live. Because like I said at the top, I don't know if this is going to become a regular thing, but I do want to keep doing this because I enjoy doing it. I know Zach enjoys doing it. And I hope you guys enjoy watching it as well. And I do believe that maybe the schedule might work out because I don't have a basketball game Friday night. So we'll see what Zach's doing. Maybe we might have a live show Friday night. We will see. But when the schedule works out, we're going to have these live shows. So if you're subscribed, you will know when we go live.
All right. Thank you again.
But yeah, we're going to go ahead and close it out there, guys. Best of luck to y'all on the slate tomorrow night. Thank you guys for watching, sticking around with us to this point, and we will see you guys next time.